I don't think.
All right, so it's recording.
It's recording now.
Yeah. So if y'all
Speech by Melissa Myers, take one.
So if y'all could just silence your phones. You have them. In kindergarten, on Valentine's Day, I got the chicken pox. So while other kids were exchanging Valentines and awesome treats, I was stuck in the house covered from head to toe in pink lotion. My grandfather went out to CVS and bought me a huge candy heart just because I missed it. In 4th grade, when we were assigned to learn the Patrick Henry speech, I got strep throat for the first time. Unfortunately, I spent most of that speech throwing up while my grandmother tried to drill me on the speech and keep me filled with liquids. In high school, my grandfather was teaching me how to drive, and I almost wrecked his car by driving into a ditch. My grandparents are heroes not just because they were there in my low moments, but because they were there in all my moments. My parents divorced when I was 4, and in order for social services not to get involved, my grandparents actually took us in and raised us. Unfortunately, my dad and my mom, I would see them maybe 2 days out of the week, so it was really hard on us, and my grandparents noticed that. They made every effort in the world to change that for us.
Keep going.
Well, now I can.
Keep going.
They made sure that we were able to talk to my parents whenever possible. And they made sure that my parents made the effort to call us. They also helped with our homework, much as any other parent would do. And they established Sunday dinners, where every Sunday it would be me, my siblings, my grandparents, and my aunt and my cousin. Sometimes my dad would be there if he was in town. And like I said before, they even taught me how to drive. My grandfather even helped co-sign on my first car when I needed it. My grandparents have very strong values, and of course one of those values is the family. But other values that they instilled in me were to learn how to cook. Dinners were a big part of my family, so they always taught to cook. We didn't eat out. We learned to make things from scratch. With the other 2 siblings that I had, which are both boys, money was kind of tight. So I learned the value of $1. We couponed, and I also wore a lot of stuff from the Goodwill. We always went to church every Sunday. There was not a Sunday that we missed. If you were sick, you were getting up, you were putting on tights, and you were going. And a big thing were manners. Yes ma'am, no ma'am, thank you. Thank you notes were super important. Even if the person down the street got us something little, we were always going to write them a thank you letter. And they believed in hard work. There was no allowance business. They expected us to work. It was our responsibility. Which brings us to my next point. They believed in a good work ethic. My grandfather had a garden in Craig County. It was probably about 2 to 3 acres, and he gardened on it. And I can still remember to this day hating every minute of it because I was not an outside person. And we would have to pick the corn and dig up potatoes. They also had huge apple trees in the backyard, and we would take big white pickle buckets and have to pick up the apples. They also had chestnut trees, which if you know anything about chestnuts, they grow in burrs, which are not fun at all. So in between picking it up, me and my brothers often would throw them at one another. So they also had on the outskirts of their land shrubbery, all these bushes, And I swear, I think it was every month they went out there and they cut every bush into a perfect square. And we were expected to clean up. And if we complained, everyone else would get a break and we would be the only one picking up. So in hindsight, some of my favorite memories were actually lessons in disguise from my grandparents. From the homemade biscuits that I made a couple weeks ago for my own family, from my grandmother's own recipe, to the thank you note that I just wrote someone for an interview I had a couple weeks ago, to me standing here giving this speech. Because not only am I working my butt off in school, I'm also working full time, and that's what they taught me to do to achieve my dreams and work hard. So while the circumstances of my childhood might be a little tragic, I was really lucky to be raised by my grandparents and to have those values instilled in me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
That's so good.
And Dorothy,
Here I am teared up.
and Dorothy came in midway, and you kept going. So that's 6 people, which is clearly that's bonus points.
All right. And
That
you
was
did
good.
wonderful.
It's interesting.
It's still
You
taken.
had good values instilled in you.
I have been to Craig County once.
Look,